Don't do nothing that's in this book. Just keep you out of prison, jail. Hi everyone, today I'm going to be doing a review on the Lake Tahoe 10 Killings by Gil Valle, however you say his name. The author's known either as the cannibal author or the cannibal cop. This book is quite different than anything I've read before. I have read dozens, if not over 100 different books, whatever, that have murder, killing, death, even rape is also in here as well. The way that it's written though, it's very, very different. So I have read books where there's rape scenes and you're always, at least from the books I've read, have the viewpoint of the victim. And in this book, you have the viewpoint of the attacker and the rapist. So as you're reading, you're actually reading what the rapist is feeling and thinking during the act, which was different. Like I said, I haven't had that before. There is also a lot of talk about cannibalism, and it's quite intense. They talk about like the dark web too. You actually have a part in the book where someone is being tortured, another part where someone is being butchered, and the amount of thought and detail that has gone into it is quite shocking in a way. It's just not something I think a lot of authors would necessarily sit and ponder and write about. In this book, you follow 3 different people. You follow Marcus, who is the serial killer, and you find that out very fast, is that he killed like 5 hookers in Vegas, and he's killed the Tahoe 10, but he's also dying of cancer. So what he's doing is he's writing like a memoir where he's talking about the girls he killed, how he killed them, even all the torture, and he's leaving it in like a shoebox, like all the mementos, because most serial killers like to have like trinkets or something to remember the victim by. So has sorry, it's very late. I think it's like 10 o'clock at night here. So he has like 10 shoe boxes, or 15. He has like 15 shoe boxes full of teeth in some, and clothes or jewelry, like a bunch of different stuff for each of the girls. So he's going through and he's writing about each and every one of them in this book. And when he dies, his hope is that someone will find it and it will be published, and that way he's remembered throughout eternity. He also owns a cottage estate, so there's multiple different like lodges that people will come and stay at, and it is sold now to another couple, but he's just kind of running it for like another month or like another couple months while the couple are getting their things in order. And then once everything's figured out with the buyer's life, then they'll come to where Marcus is and they'll take over like the cabins and the campsite and everything like that. The other point of view we have is Ashley. Ashley is a girl in her late 20s, beautiful, little voluptuous. She's got a boyfriend, I think his name is Darren, and she's totally in love with him. They're going off into some wonderful vacation point. You don't really get a ton of her viewpoint and a ton of her perspective, but you don't really need it. You get like, I don't know, a couple chapters here and there. And then you have Eric, and Eric is obsessed with Ashley. They went to high school together, and unfortunately he kind of read her just being as a good person as her liking him. So over you know, the 10 years since they've graduated, he's been like lusting after her and being obsessed with her. He messages her like all the time to the point where she's had to block him on social medias. So he makes fake accounts so he can see what she's doing. Now, Eric is obsessed with a lot of, I wouldn't say BDSM because it goes past that. A lot of it is when he's on the internet, he's going into chat rooms where people are talking about BDSM, but then they're also talking about raping and murdering people. Some people are talking about, you know, eating people. So when he gets mad at Ashley, he'll like post a couple pictures of her and read what people have to say. So when like she gets a boyfriend, she gets Darren, they start dating, he'll post a couple of her pictures, not only giving her first name, not where she lives or anything like that. And people will just randomly send him messages or post on the thread that what they would do to her and like what they would do to her corpse or her body after she dies. And he enjoys reading them. So he's a sick little puppy. And one day he meets someone who gives him a couple different links to get him to the dark web where he can join an actual group of people who like to kidnap, torture, rape, and kill and eat people. When he's on there, he does talk to a couple people because he wants to get a video of this girl being tortured and killed. That's a legitimate video. So he gets it. He doesn't finish watching it all the way through. He only can make it through like maybe the first minute or 3 minutes, something like that, before he has to turn it off because he doesn't like it. It's too much. It's too intense. And that is something about Eric. Is like, even though Eric loves Ashley, he also likes to fantasize about all this terrible stuff going on. But when people offer him money for her information and where she lives, he always says no. He's like, nope, I can't do that. Like, I might be mad at her, but like, I still love her. Like, she's still gonna change her mind and it'll get better. So not long after Eric joins the dark web, like legitimately maybe like a couple days, Eric sees that Ashley is now engaged. And this just, it tips him over the edge. And he posts a thread on the dark web website or the group that he's in with Ashley's full name, the city she lives in, her age, like some pictures of her, I don't know if I said that or not, and that she's a elementary school teacher. It's up for 5 minutes, and then after he thinks about it for a little bit, he takes it down because it was the spur of the moment kind of act, and he still loves Ashley. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to her, and it just took him a minute to calm down. And after that, he just takes off because he wants to find Ashley. He knows where she is. She's at like a resort-ish place, only 40 minutes from where he lives. So he gets in the car, he takes off, he goes from restaurant to restaurant trying to find her. Like opening the doors, screaming her name. He can't find her. And after going through every restaurant twice, he goes to a bar, he sits down and he has a drink, and he's just miserable with the world. When he sits down, Marcus happens to be in the same bar. And Marcus, in his own words, says that just by looking at Eric, he can tell that Eric is sick and twisted like him. He can tell Eric is broke and hurting because of a woman. And he can tell that Eric wants to hurt that woman. So Marcus approaches him, buys him a drink, and talks to him, and persuades him somewhat easily to go to his house Like, and I will say, like, Marcus is very open and willing to have this stranger he's known less than an hour come to his house, where he shows him like his murder journal and his torture room, and it's he's very trusting of a virtual stranger, but he just equates it to, he just knows there's just a connection there, that he just feels this. So they discuss everything, and Marcus tells Eric that he will help him kidnap, torture, and kill Ashley as like his last go, because, you know, Marcus isn't quite as strong as he used to be. So having Eric be like his muscle, well, he's the bronze, or the brains, he's the brains, is kind of what he wants to do. He wants Eric to become his apprentice and maybe, you know, carry on his legacy and create this father-son connection, which he does refer to it as that later on in the book. So the rest of the story, or the book, is about all the prep work that they put together to get Ashley, the steps that they're gonna do, getting ready. It also talks about getting another girl, so there's a practice run before actually kidnapping Ashley. And you really question, or in the book, you really question whether or not Eric is going to be able to do what he's meant to do, or what he's supposed to do, because he loves her so much. That's like the big question of the book, is like, is Eric going to be able to kill Ashley at the end of the book? Is he able to put aside, you know, a decade worth of love to do all these horrible things to her because he feels like she deserves it because she's not with him? Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what happens. I will say, though, part of the ending wasn't overly surprising. Like, the first half of the ending wasn't surprising to me. But the second half of the ending was very surprising. So that was nice in a way, that I got what I was expecting and what I wanted, even though I don't necessarily like endings that I can anticipate. Like, that was kind of the ending I was hoping for, and then I got this other ending to top off that ending that was just freaking wild, and not expecting that. It was definitely one of those books that threw me for a twist way more than what I was necessarily ready to read or to have. But if you are into thrillers or horror or really like gory books, this would be great for you. Aside from that, though, I will say some of the cons is it was $10. Not even for a paper edition. $10 for a Kindle version. That is insane. That is a lot of money for a book that I was able to read in under 2 days. There's not enough if your book was 700 some pages, I would totally be like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense to why I need to pay $10, because that's a lot of freaking work. But I can see why they would probably price it at $10 because of the content in it. I kind of get that. A lot of younger people probably don't want to spend that much money. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is for that. Now, one of my buddies that I buddy read with, he made a comment that there's a lot of spelling errors, which I did not see because I actually was able to get my Kindle to like read it to me while I was doing other stuff. So according to him, there's grammatical errors in here as well. I don't necessarily know if I would say that the information about the dark web is a negative, because it could give a younger audience like the ways to get to it, but they could use YouTube to see that and figure that out, so I won't count that. As for the prose, it was very interesting. It was very interesting, and I really enjoy books that kind of have like that consistent speed where it's just like boom, 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 boom of events and stuff that's going on. I really like books like that. It kept me interested the entire time. I did not really feel any kind of lull. It just hits the ground running and it keeps going all the way to the end, which I really like that. That's a great part of the book. The other thing that I liked, like I said, the ending, I did like the ending. That's a pro to me, because most of the time it's just kind of like a meow, because it's so predictable. And like I said earlier on in my review, it's predictable, but not at the same time. So I really like how that's done. It was intense. I am kind of interested to see what some of his other books are like, because of how intense it was. I don't know if I necessarily want to read one right now, because I might need to give myself like a little break to kind of just like maybe read something a little bit more lighter, not so intense or gory. But there are other books that he's written that I was curious about, but me and my friend decided to read this one instead. So that's my review. I hope it wasn't terrible. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and that you don't do anything that's in this book. Bye, everyone.